Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to cover shading using materials in Autodesk Maya. Now the first thing I want to do is I'm going to open up the sword that we've been working on or completed up to this point, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to simply add shaders to it, or materials in this case. Holding right click, and if you scroll down to assign new material, you can assign in a material to the entire thing. And in this case I'm going to select a blend. A blend is sort of has more of like a metallic sheen or shine to it, and it also gives you a lot of properties that you're able to adjust things like the specularity, the eccentricity, so on and so forth. We'll get to that in just a second. But I'm going to go ahead and select blend, and you'll notice from Lambert, let me turn the wireframe on shaded off, it should have a more shiny, in this case it almost looks a little bit plastic, but it should have a slight shine to it, and you can see it there. Now I'm going to name my base sword blend, or material, and that'll just be the basic color for the entire sword or something like that. Now you'll notice I scrubbed through the color and it's not changing any color. If I press 4 on the keyboard, it enters wireframe mode. If I press 5, it enters shaded displays on without textures, and 6 will display your mesh, your shaded mesh with textures on. So that's what that is. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this slightly up. I don't know, darker, sort of gray, or in this case maybe I use this color for the handle. Something more of a brown color, and that'll just be like for wood or like a leather grip maybe. And for the rest of it I need to select the faces on here in order to assign each one of these. Hold right click, assign new material, and blend, and I'm just going to go ahead and call this metallic sword material. Okay, this I'm going to leave it a light color. For the sword itself, I think it would be cool to keep this as the same color as the base of the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it looks like I got all that. Now with that one being already the same as this material, if I hold right click and I assign existing material, I just go to metallic material, and notice right away it changes color. And now the last thing I want to do is I'm going to change the color of my base here, this sort of handle protector, if you will. And just make sure you select all the faces that you need. And okay, and we'll do one more here and one more here, and then I'm going to change the color of this, assign new material to blend, and this one will make like a darker gray maybe, I don't know, something like that. So now I've added color, very basic but effective color, to my sword. And other properties on this is something like, let's say the this is sword protector material. It's so much easier to name your materials, just like it is to name your objects, so on and so forth. So I've got a few different shaders attached to this, and that's the darker color. Okay, So on my base sword material, I'm going to start to cover what some of these properties are. Our diffuse would be our diffuse color or diffuse texture. Basically your standard, if we were to apply a texture to this that we had colored in Photoshop, we would apply that here under diffuse, or a color map, I guess you could call it also, texture map. Now the translucence will change the translucence, you'll see down here, and we'll bring that back to 0. Depth, focus, here's the eccentricity. You'll notice as I bring the eccentricity high or low, it affects the shine of it. So in this case, I want it to be more wooden or rope, so maybe I have like a slight little, when I can finally have a so subtle sort of eccentricity, and then specular will adjust the size of that shine, and I'm just going to keep that at something smaller. And then my specular color, this would be a specular map that you could adjust, so we'll get into that when we get more into texturing. And then we have reflectivity. Reflectivity uses a lot of resources when rendering. On the handle we don't need it, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that down. So that is the reflectivity part of this. Now I can go ahead and change on any sword layer. I don't remember exactly which one that is at the moment. Metallic. I want to go to metallic, and on my metallic, maybe I want to make this a little bit shinier. I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe less shiny. I don't think that worked very well. I think that'll be fine. And you'll notice that little sheen happening there. And now we go to our dark color here, this base sword. Nope. The sword layer, no. Sword protector material, this part here. And maybe I make it a little bit darker. And obviously I'm going to bring down my eccentricity as well as my specular roll-off. It doesn't need to be super high. And then I'm going to bring down the reflectivity quite a bit. And on my sword layer, my sword metallic material, I'm going to keep my reflectivity on, and I'm just going to go ahead and make it like 0.234 on the blade, just so in case, I just think it would be cool to have some reflection on the blade itself. Anyway, other than that, that is how we assign shaders or materials to our object. I think that's everything I want to cover in this one. I'm going to do a follow-up video following this particular video, follow up on some more advanced things, such as how do we render a still image of this without it just being an object in Maya, and we'll get into a few other things, such as we'll get into the plugin manager. I'm going to show you how to download Mental Ray. It's a free renderer for educational use, but it does not allow you to do something called batch rendering, and we'll get into that. But that's rendering out with an educational license, rendering out a animation sequence. We'll cover some rendering, and we've already covered materials. So we'll also cover importing and exporting objects, and that's about it. So that's all I have for you in this video. Stay tuned for the next one, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.